All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. So what I'm going to call this podcast is Stop Paying Full Price for Things. I think that's what I'm going to call it. And lately I've been doing a lot of different podcasts and YouTube videos on helping men, I would say, more than anything, save money, how to live an incredible life affordably. I just actually did a podcast. I'm not sure when I'm going to post it, which was a deal isn't a deal unless you need it. But in this case, what I just want to really, get into is people learning how to be a lot more savvy with their money regarding things they want to get. And also learning to have the patience or take their time when purchasing things or going after certain things. Because I think a lot of us, and I discussed this in the previous podcast, get caught up with the impulse. Now, if you're a millionaire, you got a lot of money, you could buy whatever the hell you want. I'm not, or a billionaire, I don't do whatever the hell you want. But most people aren't. Most people do want a lot of things in their life, or they feel like they need these things, which probably most of the things they think they need, they don't. But nonetheless, they want certain things. And the thing is, when they decide they want these things, they're just willing to kind of pay full price, or just do whatever it takes to get these things. Even if they got to go on a payment plan, pay a high interest rate, go into debt, all these things. And I'm here to tell you, don't do this shit. I don't care what it is. Don't put yourself in a position where your possessions own you and you don't own your possessions. It's very interesting. I wonder if did I do a podcast based on that? Or name that? Anyways, yeah. So when you're going to purchase something or when you want something, take your time. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes a deal does come along that's whack. And I may never get this type of deal again. Then you do what you got to do. But those are very far and few between, as you know. I don't care if you're going to buy a car. I don't care if you're going to buy a boat, maybe even a house. Whatever the hell you're going to buy, make sure you can get the best price possible. And sometimes that takes time. That takes a lot of negotiating. It takes a lot of patience because it could become very frustrating. But a lot of times at the end of the day, it's usually well worth it. I'll just use, for instance, a car dealership, which a lot of times I want to slap car dealership sales persons in the face. And I even have some close friends that sell cars, and I call them jagoffs all the time. They laugh at me. I've even been at parties with the cars, with people, and I used to buy a lot and get invited and this and that. I can't stand usually dealing with people in the car industry or going to purchase a car. I can't stand the back and forth negotiating and shit. And the truth was, when I buy a car now, I don't even deal with the nonsense. I tell them the price I'm willing to pay before I even go in. If I talk to them on the phone, I won't give them my email address. I'm like, this is the car I want. This is what I'm willing to, if they don't, first of all, I want to see what they're charging. If I'm not willing to pay it, this is what I'm willing to pay for those miles. I don't give a shit. I'll just give you, for example, I was in California living there. They had the car I wanted. They wanted too much money for it, a convertible older Mercedes. I said, you're out of your mind. So I came to Florida. I got it for, I think, $5,000 or something less with 40,000 less miles and in better shape. And I got on the phone with them. I said, they said, this is what we're asking. I said, well, this is all I'm willing to pay. And they kept calling me back. I said, listen, they called me back a couple of times. I said, listen, this is what I'm willing to pay. If I go there and like it. They said, all right, come on in. That will be the price. I come in. I tried it. I liked it. Some things I found out they didn't describe correctly, which was like the convertible top. But nonetheless, it was a lot cheaper to fix that, and I took care of everything else, and I got it for what I wanted. It took me a while, though. What was interesting is when I moved back to Florida, I had to rent a car for a few weeks because I didn't have a car, maybe even a month. But by me even, spending the extra money renting a car, which was like $200, so I spent $800, but I still saved like, $4,000. And I got it with the less miles was the one thing I loved about it. But the reason I'm telling you this story is, again, if you have something you want, don't be ridiculous. Don't be like, hey, I want a Ferrari, I only want to pay $100,000. Well, it's worth $200,000. Don't be a jagoff. I'm not saying that. And Ferrari's a bad example. They don't need you. But I'm just saying when it comes to buying anything, you can negotiate. A lot of people don't even know this. When you go to a store, even a retail store, anywhere, they may roll their eyes and say no to you, but you can offer. You can put an offer in for anything that you see usually in any store. Some may be very strict, but I can assure you if you go to buy a watch somewhere in a jewelry store, say they want $1,000, You could say, I'll give you 600. You may offend them. They're like, nope. Well, okay. What are you asking? Well, we're asking 1,000. Okay, I like this watch. I'm not willing to pay 1,000. They usually will negotiate with you. You usually can at least get 10% off. I'm going to tell you right now, which if you think about it, knocks the tax off. But there's always room to negotiate. I don't care what it is. If somebody's always looking to sell, always, and they want to make the sale, don't fall for the bullshit where you think they're in control of you because they have the possession. The reality is you can go anywhere a lot of times to find that certain possession. Now, if it's a certain piece, I should say like a piece of artwork or something like that, that's totally different. I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about what, like, I don't care if it's clothing. I don't care if it's accessories. It could be, obviously if you're buying a home, you don't always necessarily pay full price. And if you want that home, you may end up doing it. But usually, as you know, you can negotiate. Again, depending on where it is. Sometimes it's just a starting point. You may end up even paying more for a certain house in a certain area. That's a different story again. What I'm just trying to get into it here is for more or less, I wouldn't say smaller things, but yeah, I don't care if it's a car, like I said, wardrobe, or I don't care if it's shoes, watch, jewelry. There is room to negotiate. You just got to have the balls to do it. All right. And I talk a lot of times about secondhand store, resale, consignment. Sometimes I feel like a broken record. You can find great things in these places. I'm telling you right now. You can find a lot of new stuff. You just got to put the time into it. I find it amazing, though. A lot of people have no patience to a certain degree when looking for certain things for sale. But I will say a lot of times people that pay full boat, a lot of times, they don't always find what they want either. They'll just settle, which is quite interesting. So you're paying full price and you're settling instead of maybe even taking your time and finding what you want. And a lot of times by finding what you want, you get what you want, and then also you can also negotiate again. So I just wanted to do a quick video on this, but again, not only that, go to outlet malls. All right, I'm just telling you. And again, if you have millions of dollars or you have tons of money to spend, listen, go buy whatever the hell you want to buy. Do whatever the hell you want to do. That's a whole different story. But I do think a lot of people want certain things. They just don't know how to kind of navigate their way through it to get what they want. And I notice this a lot with young people. They're almost nervous. I don't think they grew up like we did, just negotiating or kind of going back and forth and having the balls to say, you know what, you want this amount of money? Well, I'm only willing to pay this. That's, even if I'm with my kids, I guess you could say my stepkids, or I'm with my engineer who's a young guy, when we were even getting his car, I'm like, he kept feeling scared buying a car because he was desperate. He had no car. And I says, you're not desperate. I'm here for you if you need to be picked up or dropped off. They want to sell this car, but you have to understand there's hundreds of dealerships in Central Florida we can go to. They're going to work with us, but we have to make sure the deal works for you, not against you. A lot of people set deals up. They think it's for them, and they think they got away with something, especially when it comes to paying too high of an interest, but they think, oh my God, I'll use a car again. I'm going to get this car, thank God, but it's going to help me, get me to work. I'm going to make money and everything with it. But before you know it, not only are they upside down on the car, they have this huge payment. And they don't even, a lot of younger people, again, don't realize that most of their payments for the next 3-4 years aren't even going toward the car. You're just paying interest because no one really ever taught them these things. So most likely, you know these things. Hopefully, if you don't, you don't. But young people, do not get taken advantage of. Don't be afraid to ask your parents or someone else to help you negotiate these things. It was just a fluke that I was able to help my engineer because his car broke down one time. And, first it started off, we had to get that fixed. And then, he needed tires. And I said, listen, this car's about to go down soon. Let's go get used tires. He never even knew you could buy used tires. I'm like, yeah, you're only going to have this car for the next few months. Why are we going to put new tires on it? Or was it, it was like he needed like three tires. So I said, no, you're not. He was getting prices and it's $800, $700. I'm like, no. We're going to go out there. We're going to only, spend $30-$40 per tire right now. You're getting rid of this car. You're trading it in eventually, very quickly. And that's what we did. And then when he went to get a car, they kept trying to bullshit him. And then I got a hold of him and I got a hold of everybody and said, this is the way it's going to be. And it went that way and it all worked out. So I'm not sitting here like I'm a master negotiator. But I will say, just have the balls to stand up for yourself, buy things that you want at an affordable price. Don't get burned, all right? Don't get bullshitted. Everybody's out to bullshit. I'm telling you right now, they're going to make it sound like it's the deal of a lifetime. Usually it's not. All right. Oh, yeah, I should say online. I don't buy a lot of things online. I just don't trust it. Even if it comes in, you send it back. I'm not that guy. I'm a touchy-feely guy. Goes for clothes. I got to look at it. I got to smell it. I got to feel it. Same with a car or anything else. I want to test drive it. I don't care what it is. I don't care if I'm buying a low-level car or a very high-end car. I want to get in it. And I will say this, too. A lot of times I like to, when it comes to, say, buying a car or something higher value, like that, I like to rent it for a week or something close, because a lot of times I rent something for a week. It could be a new Corvette, it could be a Lincoln, it could be a Caddy, it could be whatever, something close. After it's to just go to a dealership and kind of drive the car for 15 minutes and come back and say, okay, I'm going to pay 60 grand for this. And then in a week, I'm like, you know what, I don't like this car that much. Just make sure when you purchase something higher level, it's 100% what you want. Now, a lot of them would be like, oh, yeah, you could bring it back after an X amount of time. Sometimes, even in a couple months, you might be like, this is boring me. Because just like anything else, you're excited when you first get it, and it turns into just something average later on. So just be very aware of that. It's a lot cheaper to rent a car for a week, even if it's a Beamer or a Benz. Test it out. Get that out of your system. And then kind of figure it out from there, because like I said, sometimes you purchase things and all of a sudden you don't like them in a certain amount of time and you're stuck with it. It's a bad move. I'm just telling you right now, and that could go for the community you live in and everything else. You may really want to make sure you do your research. You don't get burned. All right, I'm going to wrap it up there. You got any questions or comments, hit me up. I'm on richcelenza.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I'm all over the place. All right? Don't think you can't live an incredible life, though, affordably. That I can assure you, you can do it. Just be smart, all right? No one's perfect. You're going to make mistakes. Kick it in the ass. Move forward. I don't care about your past either. You may have had to file bankruptcy. You may not even be that good with money. You may be in debt. But here's the thing. Let's start looking towards the future. Let's not keep making the same mistakes we made before, because I'm telling you right now, you don't think you're going to make them. I see tons of people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, still doing the same shit, still getting taken advantage of, still constantly being in debt, constantly spending money, always frustrated. Don't put yourself under that bullshit. For what? I have no idea. All right, take care.